Dream Nation, welcome back to the channel. I'm Daryl with Auto Dreams.
Dream on, dream away.
So hey, if this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. Take a moment to do that. I hope to enlighten some of you today. We're going to talk about an ugly word called depreciation. Have you recently bought a sports car and you're about to sell it and you wonder why you're so upside down? I'm going to talk about how depreciation is affecting 14 of our popular sport coupes. Everything from sports cars to supercars to GrranTurismo. So whether you're the type of person who only keeps a car 1 or 2 years, or maybe you keep it much longer, I'm going to show you raw depreciation numbers. And we know numbers don't lie. I'm going to show you depreciation rates at the 1-year mark, the 3-year mark, and the 5-year mark of ownership. So you definitely want to stick around to the end of the video, see which cars have the least depreciation and which are just downright ugly. So let's go. Welcome back to the channel. My mission is to showcase some of the amazing cars we have around this beautiful city of Houston. It's also to talk about hot topics in the car industry and to maybe just inspire a few people. Can you dig it? Depreciation is nothing to be afraid of. It's just a fact, like gravity. Yes, we've seen a very small percentage appreciate over the years watching Barry Jackson and Mecum auto auctions. But for me and you, 99% of the cars we buy, they will depreciate as soon as we drive them off the lot. Okay, so we're all talking the same language. We need a good understanding of what depreciation really means. So straight from the dictionary, guys, you can see it right here. You start, in this case, with a car, something that has value, and over time, that's going to just drop and depreciate, if you will, for a number of reasons, one of which is wear and tear. So the way it works, on average, a car will lose approximately 20% in value that first year, with 10% of that being lost the moment you drive it off the lot. So let's say you started with a $100,000 car. By the time you make it home that day, it's now worth $90,000. At the end of that first year, it'll be worth around $80,000. After that first year, the car is expected to continue to lose an additional 10% each year from years 2 through 5. At that point, it should slow down a little bit. Keyword being should. But like I said, there are tons of reasons why cars depreciate. If you Google that, you'll find at least a dozen or more different reasons. In a minute, I'm going to talk about 7 of those reasons, the ones that are basically out of our control. Okay, let's talk about some of these factors. Brand. Brand is important. I mean, does it have the cool factor, kind of like when the iPhone first came out? Or have they built a strong, solid legacy over a number of years? What about reliability? Who wants a car that's known to have major mechanical problems, or you always have to take it to the shop? Desirability. Is it wanted by many or just by a few? What about styling? I know for me personally, that's high on the list, right? It has to be something that's just gonna have that wow factor, kind of like the new C8 mid-engine Corvette. I mean, a lot of buzz and rightfully so, beautiful car. Fuel economy may not be high on many people's list, but it still matters. Used car demand. There has to be enough people who still want that car 3, 4, 5 years down the road amidst newer competition. And length of warranty, very important. Manufacturers, don't be afraid to stand behind your product. If you built a good car, then expand the warranty, at least consider expanding the warranty. That's why I've always been impressed with Hyundai with that 5-year, 60,000 mile warranty, 10-year powertrain warranty. Those are 7 factors affecting depreciation out of the driver's control. Most of those lie with the auto manufacturer, okay? But just so you can have a flavor of the ones that are within the driver's control, we're talking about things like mileage. Well, how many miles are you gonna put on it any given year, right? What type of service history do you have on it? What color did you choose to begin with? Did you choose a color that's gonna have a lot of appeal going forward? And what about the mechanical condition? What condition have you left the car in? Have you taken good care of it? So that's important as well. Drop a comment below if you will right now to let me know which of those factors you think is most important to affecting depreciation. Next, we're going to talk about one more item before we look at the raw data, the raw numbers. Okay, so you'll know how I arrived at the data. The source I use is NADA. Guys, that's been around forever. You can trust the numbers there. In a second, I'll walk you through actually going through the process of searching and finding out what the depreciation rates are for a particular car. I'll do a screen recording. Now, before the NADA guy will tell you what that depreciation number is, you have to tell it, well, how many miles a year are you driving? And in their drop down, which you'll see in a second, the fewest mile per year choice is 10,000 miles per year. So I went with that one. Now, the numbers will also depend on what region of the country you're in, okay? I'm in the Texas, in the southern region, so that may have a slight difference depending on demand. And lastly, it also wants to know, do you want to price the car with extra options or upgrades? And to keep things apples to apples, I just chose standard options across the board for all the 14 cars, okay? So that's the basis. Okay, we're going to walk you through the process in case you want to see some actual depreciation numbers yourself. So once again, you're going to go to nadagaguides.com, hit the Start Now button to get started. So we're going to do a choose a manufacturer. And then we're going to select make. And we'll go ahead and select Chevrolet for this example. Now it'll ask what year. I'm going to put in 2019. And for body style, I'm going to choose a coupe so I can get quickly to the car I'm looking for, which is the Corvette Z06. Okay, so we're going through the Camaro. There's the Corvette. So we're going to select 2019 Corvette. Then we're going to scroll up through all the models until we see the Z06. There it is. We're going to do the Z06 1LZ coupe. So we're going to select that one. We're going to go ahead and continue with our zip code. And then we're going to continue without selecting any options. We're going to go with the standard options package. It's going to ask, do we have a trade-in? We're going to say no. And now we can see that the MSRP in this case is $81,995. And if we click this little toggle here by pricing and cost to own, then it'll show us what the ownership costs are, including depreciation. But you may have missed right here. It wants to know how many miles have been driven per year. And like I said, we're going to go with the smallest or lowest option that they give us. And that's 10,000 miles per year. So we've changed that to 10,000. Want to go ahead and hit the submit button. That's going to change the ownership cost a little bit. And we're looking at that top row there, depreciation. And so they have it by years 1 through 5. And you can see it starts at around 15,000 the first year and goes down from there. And so that's how you check depreciation numbers for a car you may be looking for. Okay, guys, let's quickly recap the 14 sport coupes on the list and what their starting MSRP prices are in 2019. Topping the list is the McLaren 570S at $192,500. Then we're moving down to the Audi R8, the Porsche 911 Turbo, the Acura NSX, the Maserati GrranTurismo, the BMW i8 Coupe, the Corvette ZR1, the Mercedes-Benz SL 550, the Nissan GTR Godzilla, Corvette Z06, BMW M4, Camaro ZL1, the Dodge Challenger Hellcat, and the Shelby Mustang GT350. And without further ado, it's time for the big reveal. Okay, at the 1 year depreciation mark, in terms of percent of original MSRP that's left, the Corvette ZR1 and the McLaren 570S come in our elite category Well done. 90% is strong. I'm not so surprised by the cars that are there, more about the percent of value that's left. 90% is amazing. Okay, so now we're moving to the normal category. This is what you would expect to lose, like I said, in year one. Anywhere from 15 to 20% of your original value. 7 of the 14 cars appear in this group, as you see in blue there. In our final category, our below average category, we're probably surprised by at least 2 of the cars that are there, the GTR and the M4 BMW, but they're only marginally there. The 2 cars that are really concerning are the GrranTurismo and the BMW i8. Both cars, which started around 150 grand, are only going to be worth around 95 to 100 grand after year one. That's crazy. Okay, so now we're going to look at the depreciation at the 3-year mark. At that point in time, it's common for cars to lose around 30 to 40% of their original value. By and large, the categories that the cars fell into last time are still basically unchanged, except for the BMW M4. It moved from the below average category up to the normal category. And the car that you may notice is missing from the list is the Acura NSX. And that's only because it's only been out for 2 years, guys, and there is no depreciation numbers in NADA at the 3-year mark for it. And finally, we're going to look at the depreciation numbers at year number 5. At that point, it's common for cars to have lost around 40 to 50% of their original value. Right off the bat, you can see that the cars in the elite category, they've gained a couple friends. So the R8 and the ZL1 and the Hellcat have joined that party, so good for those cars. The normal category, it's only a few cars, but you will notice that the Nissan GTR has moved up from the below average category. And let's talk about those 3 cars at the bottom of the list. The Mercedes is kind of a surprise. The others, no surprise at all. It's actually kind of depressing. That Maserati GrranTurismo that you paid $150,000 for, well, at this point, it's only worth $50,000. That's probably the time when you should be buying that car in the first place. Now, let's talk briefly about the cars that aren't on the list, once again, because there wasn't data at that 5-year mark in NADA. But the McLaren 570S is going to continue to be in that elite category once that data does come out. It's going to be at the top of the list or right there with the ZR1. Now, as far as the GT350 and the Acura NSX, the jury is still out, but in the earlier tables, they were behaving pretty much like the Porsche 911 Turbo was. That would put them smack dab in the normal category, in my opinion, with about 50% of their original value lost at that point. So what are the takeaways? Depreciation like air, you can't see it, you can't touch it, but it is real. Kudos to McLaren for the 570S and Chevrolet for the ZR1 for exemplary retention and value across the time periods looked at. Now the manufacturers with the cars in the below average category, I know you don't like being there. You see the numbers, you see these videos. The question is, what are you going to do about it? It's time to step your game up for those particular models. If it's a brand issue, then work on the brand. If it's a reliability issue, then work to improve reliability. It's not rocket science. Comment below if depreciation will even sway your decision on the next sports car you're about to buy, or any car for that matter. And finally, I really appreciate your attention. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you on the next one.